What's up guys, Chris Lato. I was an F-16 pilot for 18 years, now retired turned YouTuber, and the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena report has come out. It's super exciting. They confirm there is 80 incidents where we have multiple sensors on these things. They think they are objects, probably, and they still don't know what they are. So very exciting. For this video, I have some interesting thoughts. I went through some kind of deep thinking thought experiments because the questions are hard. What are these things and why are they extraordinary? Is really the kind of two questions I focus on. I've seen from the comments. Thank you for all the support. It's amazing. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this content, and please share your thoughts in the comments. So what are these things? Obviously the report doesn't know. They still don't know what they are. They don't think it's a foreign adversary system, and they don't think it's one of ours, but they don't know what it is. And in some instances, they say we need science to advance, which is very interesting. So as I go through, what could these things possibly be? What I find is I keep coming back to this thought of the singularity. Basically that there's just so many options that we can't foresee what could even be on the table, essentially. Everything is essentially on the table. And why is it the singularity? So the singularity is basically the first concept of the singularity in the technological context. This was John von Neumann. And the idea is basically there's going to be a intelligence, right? If you create an artificial general intelligence that is able to improve on itself, at some point in the future, it's going to get so smart that it will outpace humanity by leaps and bounds. So like plants, they think 10,000 times slower than humans, right? Plants still communicate by passing chemicals, the pollinators, etc. So they still communicate with each other, but we communicate 10,000 times faster, so much faster. So if you have a artificial intelligence that is just so smart, it will be able to communicate or think 10,000 times faster than we can even process information. So it'll be just another whole level. Essentially, our model or understanding of the world will be broken by this singularity. We can't foresee what will happen after that point when an artificial intelligence gets so smart that it becomes a super intelligence. So from that point on, the information or the future is withheld from us. That's the idea of the singularity. So we can't predict what will happen once this thing comes online, if it comes online, the AI. There's a 50% probability by 2050. That's the idea of the singularity. Our model is broken. Where you may have heard this before is based on the event horizon, okay, the singularity, which basically came about from theories of black holes. So several theories were subsequently developed, some with and some without event horizon. So an event horizon would be the point at which no information or light, no light can actually get out, right? The gravity is so strong, the space-time is bent so much that light cannot escape. So the gravity is more than the speed of light, essentially. Stephen Hawking, he actually went on, I didn't know this, he was one of the leading developers of black holes. He went on to say that it's probably not an event horizon, it's probably more of a parent horizon should be used, because the absence of event horizons means that there are really no holes, black holes, in the sense of regimes from which light can't escape to infinity. So Stephen Hawking actually, according to Wikipedia here, thinks it went the other way. What I've seen before is what's called a gravitational singularity. It's kind of from the black hole, or simply a singularity is a location in space-time where the density and gravitational field of a celestial body is predicted to become infinite by general relativity in a way that does not depend on the coordinate system. So basically it goes to infinite, and anything infinite is basically undefinable, right? It's like doesn't exist, essentially. So basically, general relativity, so Einstein's general relativity, predicts that any object collapsing beyond a certain point, so it gets too small, would form a black hole, inside which a singularity would be formed, so covered by an event horizon. The Penrose-Hawking singularity theorems define a singularity to have geodesics that cannot be extended in a smooth manner. The termination of such a geodesic is considered to be the singularity. The initial state of the universe at the beginning of the Big Bang is also predicted by modern theories to have been a singularity. In this case, the universe did not collapse into a black hole because currently known calculations. Okay, since such quantities to measure gravitational field strength become infinite at this singularity point, The laws of normal space-time break down. That's what a singularity really means, is that our laws, the models that we apply, our human models that we apply over the world that we see around us, those laws break down. That is a singularity. Our math breaks. So this is essentially a singularity. And we see this, you know what I noticed as well when you start looking at this, okay, this is a gravitational lensing, which is also very interesting. So let's look a little bit further here, just a point, I'll bring this up later, but this is an animation of a simulated black hole going through in front of a galaxy. And what it's doing, it's actually bending the light. It's bending the space-time as far as we understand it. So that's a longer answer to what are they is, if what we're seeing is true, then it will be something that breaks our current models. That's why I'm so excited about it. It's not what are they, it's what will they show us in any form. So why are these things extraordinary? So why are these propulsion systems essentially is interesting to me. And that's what they focus on in the report. If you notice, they're talking about specific dynamic maneuvering related to propulsion, because from what we understand, how planes move, it needs to push thrust one way so that the plane can go the other way, right? But these things are actually moving without having to do that. They're breaking our normal laws of physics as far as we understand them. What could be possible, I don't know if this is, but it could be because whatever these things are, they're able to manipulate the actual space-time through gravity and magnetics. I know, sounds crazy, right? So if real, they can manipulate gravity, or at least how we understand gravity. And if you can manipulate gravity, you effectively have a warp drive. Yes, I'm talking about warp drive bitches. Seems like I don't know why I had to say that. So how can we see that it's maneuvering space-time, and how can I even make these crazy claims? So follow me a little bit down the rabbit hole of electromagnetic gravitic drive propulsion. First off, this guy is awesome.
Light is commonly defined as an electromagnetic wave. But what is an electromagnetic wave? And also, what is electric and magnetic about light?
That's my first question for all our physicists out there. What is magnetism? What is electricity? Why are they two related? I know you know how the two are related, but my question is, why is there always a magnetic field created when there's an electric current?
To answer this question, we need to talk briefly about electric fields. But don't worry, it's going to be short. A charge placed at a given point in space will generate an electric field around it. The strength of that field at a given position is represented by a vector. The magnitude and the direction of this vector represent the magnitude and the direction of the force that would experience a positive charge of 1 coulomb placed at that position. Now, imagine a metallic bar and focus on one of the electrons in the bar. This electron creates an electric field around it. Then, connect the bar to a source of alternative current. The electron will move back and forth in the bar with the current. It will oscillate.
A metal bar, we have a metal bar, and we just hook up cable to each side, and now alternating current. So alternating current, like what comes out of the wall. And what happens is the electron inside will go back and forth, right? If it's a metal bar, the electrons are free floating, so the electrons can flow back and forth. Make sense?
And so will the direction of the electric field the electron generates. This idea is a key point.
The point he's talking about is the way the electron moves is related to how the electric field will point. And so the electric field will actually change. And if we have a changing electric field, we're going to create a changing magnetic field. Again, for all my physicists, armchair physicists, why does it create a magnetic field?
If you look at how the y component of the electric field strength vector changes with time, it is oscillating, and it can be represented by a beautiful cosine or sine curve. In the second part of the 19th century, Maxwell showed that a changing electric field generates a changing magnetic field and vice versa. So the oscillation of an electric field always generates a magnetic field that oscillates too.
So if you oscillate an electric field, it will oscillate and create a magnetic field 90 degrees out. Go in the Same speed, speed of light, same direction, everything. The question is, why? And the answer is, we have no clue. We don't. No one knows. The other question is, what is it oscillating through? What are these electromagnetic waves actually going through? What is the substrate of the electromagnetic waves? What is the substrate of electromagnetic waves that we see from the sun, etc.? Let me explain. So let's relate these electromagnetic waves to something we're more familiar with, sound waves. Let's see how those work.
If I click the button and we watch the waves traveling, it's actually moving, or the disturbance is moving in the direction of the wave. In other words, when I talk right now, if you could see the sound waves coming out of my voice, it would be a three-dimensional compressional wave that's moving out. But it's vibrating the air in the direction that it's actually moving.
So that would be sound waves, right? So sound waves are traveling through the medium of air, and it's a compression wave. But electromagnetic waves now go through space. Sound will not go through space as a compression wave. So the question is, what is this substrate that the electromagnetic waves are traveling through? How can these magical electrical waves, which have a magical magnetic wave running 90 degrees to them, travel through free space? Is it empty? Here's another interesting idea I found about an evolutionary substrate. So if you look here, it starts back at the beginning. So RNA, so just single-side DNA, is passing information, right? It's just copying itself somehow. Then it forms DNA, and now genotype itself is affecting the world around it in much larger, right? DNA is super small, if you think about it, but it's affecting our much larger dimension, right? Then it goes to phenotype. You get cells. Phenotype now we can affect our environment itself as well as just ourselves, right? So we can make tools and such. It's human evolution, language, science, neural networks, and then it goes to us, and then it would be onto digital, right? So just so much faster bio-digital fusion, hopefully. That's the whole Neuralink thing from Elon Musk is the idea. So, but this is interesting. If you see the substrate actually can actually change, is the information is actually changing through substrates. Do you see that? The RNA, the DNA, the cells, the brains, the digital. So the question is, are we able to see into the substrate here when we look at the DNA? Is this the substrate? Is space-time the substrate that electromagnetic waves magically travel through? And you can actually measure through free space. Electromagnetic waves will travel at a certain speed, and then you have to use waveguides to, shrink or slow those waves down. Again, I'm no physicist. So the waves are traveling through space-time. That's what Einstein said. And so actually when you have a large mass, it will bend space-time, which is this substrate of electromagnetic waves and everything. It will bend space-time, and now that's how gravity results, right? Because the shortest path now, it will be, so basically the mass is pushing the gravity just like you're on a little blanket, right? And this is why you fall just like a quarter on a conical shaped charity basket. Focus on this key point, is the substrate. What is the substrate of electromagnetic waves, of light? I believe it is space-time, right? And we can all kind of agree, right? Because sound waves travel through air, they travel through water, but they don't travel through vacuum of space, but light does, right? Another question is, how is light both a wave and a particle at the same time? Explain that to me, please, physicists. So I want to focus on this idea of the substrate, okay? The substrate of the information. Let's look at this now. One of my favorite things, right? Surfing. Okay, so actual waves in the ocean seem to work the same way as waves through any other medium. Okay, so waves, there's a frequency, there's a wavelength between them, the frequency, and they seem to work the same way. Okay, but let's look at, when I talk about this idea of the substrate of the wave, this guy here, he's just going to stay, he's in the substrate of the ocean. So if you look at him from the side, if you're a molecule right next to him on this surfboard here, when the wave goes by, it's going to go up and then it's going to go back down. And he's going to come back to here. He's not going to actually move in the direction of the wave itself that's running along the surface. So this is a surface wave, right? He's in the ocean substrate. So watch what happens as this wave goes by. He goes up, he goes down, and he ends up in the same spot. Okay? But now let's look at the actual ocean wave itself. So let's look at the surfer here. So here. So for whatever reason, he is able to align with the wave, catch the actual ocean wave. And now a molecule on this surfboard now will go here and end up here with the ocean wave. Whereas this guy just goes up and down. Think of this. If you never get onto this substrate, right? If you never see this, how would you know these waves are passing by? But if you're outside of the ocean, outside of the substrate, in this case, looking down now, you have a perspective to see. You're outside of the substrate of the waves. Think of this. You don't actually touch anything at any level. We don't actually touch anything. When we touch something, the atoms of our fingertips approach the atoms of the surface we're touching, at which point atomic forces prevent any closer proximity. The resistance we feel is actually mutual atomic repulsion from a distance. So we're not actually touching anything.
Let's go back to our electron. Suppose now that I choose for the alternative current a frequency of oscillation of 10 kHz. This means that the electron oscillates 10,000 times per second. And so does the electric field it generates, as well as the induced magnetic field. Imagine now that I place another metallic bar in the oscillating electric field. The electrons in this bar will feel an oscillating force. Yes, they are in an electric field, so they feel a force. They will start to oscillate too. What we did here is we transmitted a signal through space. This is how radio works. Yeah, we have two antennas. The first bar is emitting the signal. The second bar is receiving the signal. When the oscillating electromagnetic field is generated by the first bar, it propagates through space at the speed of light.
Through what? We don't know. Space-time.
Yeah. The oscillating electromagnetic field is what we refer as an electromagnetic wave or EM wave. And it is also more commonly referred as light. For example, let's increase the frequency of the alternative current up to 10 trillion Hertz. The electron in the bar will oscillate at 10 trillion Hertz, and so will the electric field it generates. The resultant EM wave is now infrared radiation. Let's increase the frequency a little more, up to 1 quadrillion Hertz. The metallic bar starts to glow now. It emits visible light.
Look at that. So that's how visible light is created. That's it. It's just oscillating electrons. And then think about this. Visible light, everything is just oscillating electrons. Through what substrate? Space-time. Whatever that is. It's just repulsion, like magnetic repulsion. We don't physically touch anything, really. And everything we see, everything, essentially, in electromagnetic radiation is essentially everything we can see and touch, is just propagation of waves through a substrate that we have yet to fully understand. That's why I'm so excited for this UAP. I mean, it's just insane, right? If this is true, if it looks like gravitic lensing, which is what it looks like on this Puerto Rico one, right? I mean, you watch this video, which is just by far the most compelling for me, if it is what it looks like it is. Okay, if it doesn't turn out to be something else, or it's not faked, or some weird sensor indication, this seems like the best for me. When you look at it, it looks like gravitic lensing. I mean, it seems like the light is being bent around the object. And there's some other videos on this. I found some very interesting. So I'm going to be deep diving on this video. Really excited about it. Please tell me in the comments, guys, if there's something better I should be looking at, or like the pyramid video, it's already this amazing amount of, debunkery also already going on. So I want to focus on this one. This one just seems mind-blowing to me. I mean, that looks like gravitic lensing to me. If this is propulsion where we can actually move and create waveguides with gravity waves and just say, hey, there's less gravity here, boom. I mean, you're talking warp drive, guys. We're talking amazing breakthroughs in science and punching through these singularities. What really is a singularity? It's a mismatch between our human model of what we think the universe is like and then what we go to find out. And what do we always find out about the universe? It's bigger than we thought. It's simpler, usually, but it's weird as well. And usually we are not the center. That's usually what happens. And so I'm very excited to see what happens. Huge breakthroughs are so close, and the evidence does actually look like we have a bunch of evidence, including videos. Everyone's asking, like, where are all the videos? They're out there. What is the true nature of existence, the universe, consciousness? All these kind of really deep questions are very interesting to me. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Thanks for all your support. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Peace.